Welcome to Common Sense Wellness with Dr. Gary Martin, the show that helps you take control of your health with clarity, confidence, and practical wisdom. Dr. Gary Martin has spent decades in clinical practice and natural wellness research, discovering that the key to lifelong vitality lies in understanding the body's signals before they become symptoms. Each week, we will explore simple science-backed methods like mineral testing, facial scans, and lifestyle adjustments that help you restore balance from the inside out. You'll also hear from expert guests and real clients who have turned their health challenges into stories of transformation. No gimmicks, no fads, just common sense wellness that works. Now, here's your host, Dr. Gary Martin.
Welcome to Common Sense Wellness, another episode. I'm Dr. Gary Martin, and for over 50 years, I've helped people understand their health through testing, practical wellness strategies, and holistic approaches. On this show, we explore simple and actionable ways to restore balance, boost energy, and thrive. Primarily through teaching people how to test their own urine and saliva, and also helping them understand why measuring their hair is important. And also we get inside a person's mind by helping them, because the body is a mind made visible, basically. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Micaela Anderson, a naturopath, a holistic health practitioner, and co-founder of My Divine Feminine, a women's wellness platform she built alongside her mother, a master herbalist. Micaela began her journey pursuing conventional medicine with her sights set on becoming a pediatric cardiologist. Wow. But a deeper calling led her toward root cause healing. She now blends clinical science with herbal wisdom, feminine energetics, and functional testing to help women reclaim their health from the inside out. Micaela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gary, for having me.
All right. So you started out pursuing conventional medicine, pre-med at Eastern Washington University, biology, biochemistry, with the goal of becoming a pediatric cardiologist surgeon. That's a very specific dream. What happened that made you alter that path?
So I had a mild heart defect when I was born. So I kept going to the doctor and getting checked up. And when I was 5, I had an ultrasound on my heart, and I was watching my heart on the ultrasound screen. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is so cool. So I began going to school, got my degree as a pre-med, and got a major in biology and biochemistry. Applied to med school about a year later and was working at the local hospital here in Spokane as an EKG tech. And then COVID hit. So it was hectic. Everyone was working PPE, and it was just, kind of icky, scary when it was way back when. So I flash forward like 6 months, I had another job alongside working there, and then I got pregnant with my son. So I kind of started diving more into the research aspect of vaccines, natural health practices, and why the system was kind of corrupt in the way. So I always knew I didn't want to use pharmaceuticals because my mom kind of taught me herbs and whatnot. So I kind of wanted to find a way around that. Even with becoming a surgeon, I was like, well, if I do surgery, maybe I can find a herb that will help versus them taking some sort of nasty pharmaceutical medicine during their stay at the hospital and thereafter. So I neglected to give my son any vaccines, as well as my daughter that was born about a year and a half ago. And then I decided I was going to go to school and get my degree as a naturopath and holistic healthcare practitioner, because I believe that the body should be presented not as just symptoms, but healing from the root cause, and that the symptoms are just telling you what the body is trying to tell you inside. So that was kind of my story there. Yeah.
All right. So you describe your approach as treating root causes rather than symptoms. For someone who's never heard that phrase before, what does that actually look like in practice? What changes when a practitioner thinks that way?
So I've always been fascinated by the body's ability to heal when it's given the right support. So early on, you kind of notice the pattern of people being told their labs look normal, yet they're still dealing with fatigue, hormonal issues, digestive problems, skin conditions like acne, eczema, anxiety, other chronic symptoms. So that was where everything kind of comes together and it changes. So it's simply more than just managing symptoms. And this is where you look deeper and ask better questions and kind of help people uncover the root causes of what's really going on. So that's kind of the foundation of how I practice in that aspect. So,
Okay. So my divine feminine is a mother-daughter practice, which is fairly rare. How does working alongside your mother, a master herbalist, shape the way you approach a client's health differently than what you might on just your own? Or doesn't it?
um, so working with my mother, what's the difference is what you're asking?
Yeah.
I think her certification as an herbalist has helped a lot as far as working alongside her in conjunction to me working with the client and how she can give insight as to what herbs would work best for the particular person based on what we find with tongue morphology, labs, just lifestyle, history, all those things. So I think that's really important as far as how we can kind of heal the person from inside out the best way.
All right. So you work with a wide range of tools: nutrition, gut health, herbal medicine, iridology, TCM principles, nervous system support. When a new patient comes to you, how do you decide where to start?
So I always start with asking, how did we get to these symptoms in the first place? So I look at nutrition, gut health, your stool, tongue, eyes, hormones, mineral status, stress, nervous system function, sleep, and lifestyle. So when addressing the underlying imbalances, and the environment where the body feels safe and supported, healing becomes a lot more possible in that aspect because there's a lot of people that are trying to find the secret to health, and there's no secret other than what you eat, what you drink, it's what you think, and it's what you do every single day. So I think that's just super important as far as the foundational stuff.
All right. So functional lab testing is part of your practice.
Mm-hmm.
What can that kind of testing reveal that a standard doctor's visit, routine blood work, a 15-minute checkup
Mm-hmm.
simply can't?
A lot of times so there's a more wide range when it comes to just modern medicine. When we look at it at a functional standpoint, the degree becomes a lot smaller as to what is normal and what's abnormal. So we have that aspect, and then we have different tests like the HTMA, we have urine and saliva testing. So you can look at candida overgrowth, nutrient and metabolism, detoxification, heavy metal toxicity, all those things. So it's a little bit different than what other
Okay.
people would probably.
All right. So you mentioned iridology as one of your tools. For people who haven't heard of it, iridology is essentially reading the eye as a map of the body's health. What does it show you that lab work alone might miss? How do the two work together?
So iridology is kind of a roadmap to what each organ is inside of your eye. So there's kind of a chart that shows basically like times when it comes around your eye. So you have like midnight to 6 all the way around, and different parts when you look at the eye. In those points, there could be a point where there's a dot in the liver area, or there's some film, or different areas where it could present that there's some digestive issues. It just depends on where in the eye that you'll see where there could be an issue with what's going on inside. So just like with the tongue, you can see things that are going on there versus when you just look at lab work, when I have nothing else to kind of go off of.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's amazing how many different areas of the body reflect the body.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a mirror.
Especially when I had a wellness clinic for 20 years or so,
Yeah.
and one of the guys that we had come in periodically he was like a master reflexologist. I mean, this guy this guy, well, he was the one who actually told my wife was on the table and he was working on his feet and whatever. And he says, how long you been pregnant? She goes, I'm not pregnant. What do you
Uh-huh.
mean? Whatever. And come to find out, she was pregnant with our third and last child.
Wow.
And so it's like, but it's amazing what you can tell,
Wow.
what different parts of the body reflect the entire body.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. So our
Very impressive.
hormonal health is central to what you do. In your experience, what are the most common root causes behind the hormonal imbalances you see in women of things that conventional medicine often miss?
A lot of it is we see poor liver detoxification of estrogen, insulin resistance, inflammation, stress, which a lot of women have that they don't think it makes such a big impact on your hormones and your body, but it does. Poor gut health or lack of good bacteria are probably the biggest ones that I see.
All right. So you believe that healing should feel collaborative, empowering, and deeply
Mm-hmm.
individualized,
Mm-hmm.
not rushed or dismissed or one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
That language suggests a lot of your clients or patients have felt dismissed before.
Mm-hmm.
What does that experience do to a women's relationship with their own body when you have this dismissed feeling after seeing your doctor?
They feel like their symptoms aren't real or that it's just all in their head when it's not, because a lot of the times when you do go to the traditional doctor and they run just these simple labs and aren't looking into anything further, they can make it seem like there's actually nothing wrong with you and it's just all in your head, which isn't usually the case. So I feel like a lot of times just women need to be seen and heard and felt like there is actually something to be said about what's going on with them. So
Yeah, I mean, if it's true, I believe it's true, but if
mhm,
it's true that your body is your mind made visible,
mhm,
then what that means is the body is not necessarily the first domino. It isn't, yeah. And so that's
mhm,
just what you basically alluded to there. So,
yeah.
so at Biological Immunity Research Institute, which is the sponsor of the Common Sense Wellness podcast, we use functional and biological testing, including tools like the BIA, which is
Mhm,
short for biological immunity analysis. You're probably familiar with RBTI. I would imagine you've come
uh-huh,
across that somewhere over along
yeah.
the way, right? Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. Well, the BIA is our version of it.
okay.
I'm probably one of the few people left standing that
Uh,
was actually taught by Dr. Reams,
okay.
who was the founder of that whole idea and whatever. And I got kicked out of the RBTI community early on, back in the 80s, because a lot of the things that I learned in the classes that were being taught by Doc and he didn't really do a whole lot of teaching. He hired a professor from Palmer
Mhm,
Chiropractic College to come and do a lot of the teaching. Well, anyway, a lot of the things, some things that well, I don't know about a lot. Let me just say some things that we were taught when I came back into the clinical practice, it didn't add up.
mhm,
I didn't see that
right.
adding up. And so I did some alteration of what we call the numbers
Yeah.
and to make it easier. Like, for example, I needed to know if high sugars was really because a person had a sugar handling problem, or was
Mhm,
it just the fact that they were concentrated, they were
yeah.
dehydrated, because they
Mhm,
both can, look the same. So I
yeah.
developed this thing called balanced numbers. Well,
Okay.
I was all excited about that, and I took that into the RBTI community,
Mhm,
and they called me a heretic. Dr. Reams never taught that, so you shouldn't be diluting and so
mhm,
that's why we ended up having to call our stuff something else, because
mhm,
the RBTI people didn't appreciate it.
yeah.
So, as someone who already uses functional lab testing in your practice, how important do you think it is for women to have access to self-testing kind of methods? Do you work with any self-testing methods, or or are patients required to come into your office for all of the testing, or do you have some things that people can do on their own and then report the results to you?
There's definitely things that people can do on their own. I mean, they can do the saliva and the urine. They can do at-home testing kits, which I feel like are pretty readily available now. They can do the HTMA tests at home and send them in stool samples for your gut health.
Okay.
But I also feel like it's one of those things where when it comes to functional medicine and as far as insurance, I feel like a lot of time the easiest way and the cheapest way versus paying out of pocket with your insurance is going through your primary care or OBGYN. And I give you exactly what labs need to be run so that way it can be tested that way versus them coming up with the ones versus, getting the actual ones you need.
Okay.
So
All right.
I feel like
So if there's a woman listening right now who's been told her labs are normal, but she still feels exhausted, inflamed, or disconnected from herself, what's the first step you would encourage her to take?
I would encourage her to listen to herself and what her gut is telling her and go to someone that will actually listen to her symptoms and what's going on with her versus just dismissing. And then go through with maybe some lab testing after we do a intake and look at your tongue, iridology, any Chinese medicine aspect of it. I feel like there's a lot of foundational stuff that can be done before there's functional testing as far as like labs and whatnot. But a lot of times there is testing and don't guess too. So just depends on the woman, but definitely just listen to herself.
Good advice.
Thank you.
One of the principles that we talk about often on this show is make truth your authority. Do not make authority your truth.
Yep.
A lot of people learned that during COVID.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
you left a conventional medical track to follow
Mhm.
your own instincts about healing. What does that idea mean to you personally, being in your practice and how you would apply that to your patients?
Just take everything with a grain of salt and to believe your own truth versus just following everything you see on social media or everyone wants to say as far as like wellness trends and what your doctor is saying, because your truth means more than what someone else has to say to you. If you feel something is off, then that is your truth versus what someone else is telling you is not your truth. So you know
All
your
right.
body better than anyone else does.
That's right. Yeah. I keep smiling because you are a dead ringer for my granddaughter.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, just your personality, your
Yeah.
smile, your hair,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
Is she
All
redhead
right.
too?
Yep. Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
Fellow
yeah.
redhead.
All right. Okay. So where can our audience go to learn more about you and My Divine Feminine? And if you could leave our listeners with one takeaway about taking control of their health, especially for women who feel like the system hasn't worked for them, what would it be? So where can they learn more about you, and what would you want to be the takeaway from what's your message?
So you can find me on Instagram at @mydivinefeminine_. You can also find me at www.mydivinefeminine.com. And for the closing, I feel like what would be beneficial for women and to empower women is just not about the knowledge and realizing they have knowledge about their bodies to uncover the root cause of their symptoms and create a path towards long-term wellness and to stop chasing symptoms versus being connected with the body. So this is where lasting like transformation and healing can happen, just to start listening to your body and to realize that you are empowered and to be able to find someone that can help you heal naturally and effectively and to feel your best.
Do you work with people remotely or
Mhm.
is it primarily face to face?
Virtually currently. I would like to
Right.
start opening up my own brick and mortar, but just not at the time. So,
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. That was why I was asking, is because if you could give people kind of an idea of where you are physically
Mhm.
located, yeah, so
Right.
the people who may be listening who are in your
Mhm.
general area,
Yeah.
but if you're available virtually as well, well, then that it doesn't really matter. I mean, it
Right.
doesn't really matter. Today. It's so true.
Mhm.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, Thank you very much for being here. You are a bright light in the healing world, and well, people can listen to what you have to say. You got a lot of experience. You got a lot of experience in your mom, and
Mhm.
I'm sure that you are helping lots of people.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
joining us on Common Sense Wellness. Remember, taking practical steps to understand your health, emotionally and physically, is how we restore balance, boost energy, and thrive. We'll see you next episode.
Thanks for listening to Common Sense Wellness with Dr. Gary Martin. To learn more about the testing and resources we discussed, or to find out how you can take charge of your own health, visit biri.org. You'll find valuable information, free tools, and ways to connect directly with our wellness community. That's biri.org. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share the show with someone who's ready to take their next step toward better health.